Hello, everybody. It's me, Councillor James, up here in not so sunny, very windy winter, pre-Christmas winter rill by the seaside, and here I am doing my what's supposed to be, what set out to be, maybe a weekly, maybe a bi-weekly, at worst monthly vlog. What I've been getting up to, what I've been doing, council work, etc., or just me personally, in my personal life. But that's not happened because I've not been doing much, partly because of continued self-isolation, of course, with the news of the Omicron variant coming out, and we don't know yet. I mean, I'm here in Wales, but we don't know yet what measures are going to be brought back or not, as far as where you can go, in how many numbers you can be in or not. I think mask wearing is being brought back in public places and shops and things. Social distancing, 6 metre, 6 metre personal distancing, and all of that. So we'll have to sort of see, won't we, what happens there. Usually here in Wales, we tend to find out about what's being planned vis-a-vis restrictions quite quickly compared to England. Boris Johnson seems to sort of and ah and mess about a bit, from what I've seen, when it comes to implementing whatever they're going to implement in England. But Wales, Scotland seem to be a bit faster, seem to be a bit more on the ball, really. So in that sense, I hope it's not going to disrupt too many people's Christmases. Of course, we don't know what it's going to mean for travel around the country, or travel in and out of the country. So that's a big question mark at the minute. But again, as I say, I hope it's not going to disrupt too many people's sort of family get-togethers and plans. But then, having said that, of course, we have to put our loved ones and community's safety first, don't we? At the minute, from what I don't really watch the news, but from what I've been hearing, it's not clear whether this Omicron variant, which of course has originated and seems to be coming out of South Africa, doesn't seem to be clear how dangerous a variant it is or not. From what I think I heard the other day, that scientists, doctors in South Africa, have not had any deaths so far that they know, or can attribute to the new variant. So let's hope that that carries on. But yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, I know I remember when the vaccines were first being rolled out, and the millions of doses that were ordered by our government and the US and the rich countries, really, over here in the West. Wealthier countries were obviously first in the queue, were for the pharmaceutical companies producing the vaccines, the big buyers. And I know someone said we're still hoarding vaccines which are just sitting around. And I remember I thought at the time that it would be a common sense thing to do, really, if not an altruistic thing to do, but just common sense for us, for for us to make sure that the poorer countries, who of course are extremely populist, we've got vast populations, many of them in poverty, many of them without a healthcare system like ours. Well, you could say that about the US, couldn't you? Which is the richest country the world's ever seen. But places like South Africa, other African countries, India, and where COVID just swept through, of course. So did the previous variant, causing devastation. And of course, they didn't have access to the amount or the availability of vaccines that we had. And I know, was it the President or Prime Minister of South Africa, I think, actually came out onto television last week and said, you've got to share, you rich countries, if you don't want this stuff evolving and in poorer countries, and then being sent back to you during sort of normal migration routes, not normal travel. Common sense. You need to share what you're holding with us. The rest of the world. And I was certainly under that impression myself, and that opinion myself. When was that? What was that? A year ago now, as the vaccines were starting to come out, almost rolled out. So it was foreseeable, wasn't it? It was foreseeable. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a big shot politician. I'm not in charge, but it was foreseeable, I think, for many of us that if we didn't share what we could share with the countries that couldn't afford to be the first in the queue when buying the vaccine or vaccines, of course, this was only going to, what goes around comes around, So again, the people that are supposed to be in charge, that are supposed to plan for these sorts of things, that are supposed to preempt these sorts of things, have once again done an absolutely bloody awful job. And that's if you're going to be generous. If you're not going to be generous, if you're not in a generous frame of mind, you have to wonder how much just pure and utter incompetence and indifference played a part and plays a part. I know if we're going to connected, of course. I know that Boris Johnson's opinion ratings, opinion polls have absolutely taken a massive hit, absolutely slashed at the knees, to the point where even Sir Keir Starmer, who's about as useful as a cat flap in an elephant house, is now ahead of him. And that's not because Keir Starmer's been doing a wonderful job or people have lots of confidence in him. I mean, who with a working set of eyes, ears, or ears would have confidence in Keir Starmer or his Labour Party, in the sense that who, again, would have, if they're paying attention, any confidence in Boris Johnson and his Conservative Party when it comes to sorting out this absolutely crucial issue that's killed so many people, so many of our family members, friends, neighbours. It's tragic and absolutely, criminal, in my opinion, absolutely criminal. Again, it's like you're going to the doctors or something, feeling a bit sort of funny and getting checked out, and the doctor says, "Oh, you're fine. I can't see anything wrong with you," and then you're sort of dropping down with a heart attack the next day. It's negligence. Surely it's negligence. I mean, that would be medical negligence. Your doctors have a duty of care to you, to do what they can to keep you safe, to provide a certain level of expert sort of service, to make sure that you are healthy and safe and everything. If they don't, that's medical negligence, really. And I feel it's the same with politicians, particularly politicians in charge of the country, whichever party that happens to be at the time. At this time happens to be, during all of this, happens to be Boris Johnson and his Tories, his flavour of Toryism. They've done an absolutely horrendous job. If you're going to talk about negligence and criminal negligence, in my opinion, and I'm sure in many, these people should be up in the dock, answering for what they haven't done, and in many ways continue not to do. Baffling to many of us, including me. So let's see how that goes as we now enter the what would it be now? The fourth wave, would it be? I've lost count, really. If we now have another sort of wave of this Omicron variant, and as I say, the resulting measures that would have to be put in place. So that's that. I've been away for so long myself again because I think in my last video, which I can't remember when that was, some time ago, I announced that I was just getting better from my chest infection finally. But I was still not well for another reason, which I didn't understand or know about at the time, and I've actually only just found out about the reason why I wasn't well. But luckily, I'm on a bit of new medication, which is working well for now. So, Touchwood, Touchwood, I'm able to start sort of living a bit more of a normal life and enjoy Christmas and New Year more than I have done for the second half of this year, or most of this year, unfortunately, due to health problems. So that's good. I'm optimistic about that. Hopefully, I was supposed to be back at university in October to resume my PhD, but again, due to ill health and it worsening at the time, I've had to extend my suspension of studies, they call it. So I'm not due to go back until February now. So hopefully, again, touch wood, I'll be mended enough from what the hospital are going to do to me, hopefully, soon enough to sort of go back, and my life will finally, please, return to some sort of normality. So here's hoping. But of course, I don't think anything's going to go completely back to normal for a long time, is it? So yeah, that's what's been going on with me. I've just been having to sit around to wait to get better, and do a lot of television watching, apart from the news. Don't want to depress myself. I try and pick and choose and select what news I want to see or delve more into or not. I've been watching lots of comedy programs and old favourites like Dad's Army and I don't know, Some Mothers Do Have Them and too many to mention really. Steptoe and Son, Porridge, and all the classic Rising Camp, all the old comedy series that I know and love. Lots of old films. I love old films. I'm not a big fan of maybe it's my age, I don't know, of the current sort of Marvel sort of franchise and movie franchise and all of that sort of thing doesn't really do much for me. But I understand I know other people absolutely love it. But I'd like to watch older films. I love older westerns as well. Which is funny because as a kid I used to absolutely avoid all that sort of stuff. So a lot of music, of course, listening to music, and I've got my music channels which I enjoy, which I do on YouTube. I've been doing since lockdown began, just for something to do, really, a bit of fun. But really enjoying those when I've got time to do them. Again, like this, here on the Councillor James Ball channel, I haven't had much time because of my health all been well enough to do them, but starting to get back into those, that's nice. Starting to play my instruments and practice again, which I wasn't able to do because when you're that ill, you can't concentrate. You can't. I couldn't read anything, concentrate on anything. I just wasn't there mentally, when you're that ill every day. So, and obviously, the longer it goes on, has a cumulative effect, which only sort of gets worse. But as I say, hopefully, I'm over the worst now. So yeah, not done much. I've trying to get back to the meetings and things, council meetings and all of that I've unfortunately had to miss again due to the ill health. One thing I've really hated, is I've not been able to go out and about as I usually would, to see my residents and how they are and if they need help with anything, which a lot of people do leading up to Christmas, particularly here where I represent and where I live, because this is a poor area, it's a deprived area. So there's a lot of families leading up to Christmas who are, well, they'll be struggling anyway, but of course are really struggling because there's extra cost, and particularly if you have children, which a lot of people do here. If you haven't got the money anyway, as a parent, there's a lot of pressure. And what parent wants to sort of let down their children, of course. So I love Christmas. I am a Christmas person. I've always been excited for Christmas and love it. But unfortunately, I'm not able to sort of really go out and look at the lights in town and the tree and decorations again. Well, I wasn't last year really, so I'm missing all the things that make it feel like Christmas and all Christmassy. So that's been quite tough. So like I say, anyone that contacts me for help, I'll do my best, as I always do, that live here. Yeah, I'm sure you know, everything's difficult, isn't it? Or seems to be. Everything seems to be difficult to try and sort out, or particularly when you're talking about organisations, councils, and all this sort of stuff. And as a councillor, the one thing that's always true, is that fly tipping in alleyways, rubbish on the streets, and dog poo, dog mess are always going to be a constant issue that you'll be contacted about and have to try and sort of deal with. Rightly so, because people pay their rates, don't they? People pay their council tax. Who wants to live? People don't want to live in a street that's sort of got rubbish and dog poo out the front and fly tipped rubbish in the back of their houses, out the back of the houses in the alleyways and that. So yeah, I do quite a lot of that, contacting people to ask if they could clear it up. So if you ever run for the council or decide to try and become a councillor, that's something you'll have on a pretty regular basis and have to deal with on a pretty regular basis. But it's yes, next May I will have done my 5 years. Can't believe it. 5 years. I really can't believe it. As a community councillor here, which I've loved. Been an absolute privilege, and it is a privilege. It's not a right, just as being an MP or an assembly member is a privilege. You're voted in, you're temporarily lent the position by your voters, by your constituents, and by your residents. So it's to be a public servant, really. So it's something I never thought I'd want to do or even try to do, but I've like any job, it was unpaid, this one, but like any job, there are bits you don't like. But I have to say, out of all the jobs I've had, many jobs, this has been one of the most rewarding and enjoyable, because I've just had the wonderful fortune to meet with, and try and help fantastic people, fantastic families who need help, and I'm very happy to try and give it if I possibly can. So at the minute, as it's approaching ever closer, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to run again. I mean, my health should be back on track, hopefully, by the time the next local elections come up, which is next, as I say, next May, May 2022. Even though my health should be back on track, and I'd love to carry on, as I say, helping anyone that I can really that needs it. I'll be back into my PhD, and I need to get that finished. I need to get that done. I've already had to delay for over a year, which wasn't part of the original plan. So whether I simply time-wise and to give the role all that I need to give it, because it's if you do it properly, it takes time. It takes a good deal of your time and energy and concentration. I have to ask myself, will I be in a position then, being back at university, being back trying to research and write my PhD, which is a huge undertaking, absolutely massive undertaking. Can I split myself between the two? Mentally, really, and physically and time-wise. So I don't know. I'm erring on the side of probably not, because I know if the older I get, if I spread myself too thin, both things can suffer. So let's see. But as I say, I'd love to carry on, because it is such a privilege. But anyway, that's nothing too exciting. So I just wanted to let anyone that watches this, my ramblings, my pointless ramblings on this channel, let you know that I'm still here, still alive, still kicking, better than I was, and got hopefully life and plans will soon be back on track after all this time. So I hope the same is true for you and yours. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all looking forward to Christmas, not having to worry too much about it and money worries and things. I really hope so. I hope you have a fantastic new year. I hope all your hopes and dreams come true for you. I really do, and your families. So take care. Love you all lots, and a Merry Christmas, a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.